Thank you for listening to The Lawyer's Daughter. This is Jen Carroll, and this podcast does not have any video. I know I'm on YouTube, but that doesn't matter. I really appreciate you listening to the podcast here. Let's go get started. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to fall. Well, not the kind of fall that comes after Labor Day, not the official fall, which is on probably September 20th to 21st, somewhere in there. It's usually by Rosh Hashanah. So it is fall. It is September 3rd. We are back for a grueling campaign. Folks, we have got to, they're expecting so many October surprises. It's not funny. I keep remembering what Michelle Obama said when she stood up there and said, they are going, she didn't say it like this. This is my characterization. The howler monkeys are going to start flinging the poo, and we have to be prepared to just let the poo smack us in the head as we keep walking to victory. We just have to just watch that poo fly. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be nasty. There's some rumor of some breaking thing that's going to come out this week because Trump is losing it. He has to go to court now. He has things he has to do that are real in grown-up land. So he is losing it. And what that means for us is that we have to stay the course. We have to stay focused. We can't get distracted by nonsense. And we're going to need to remind our friends of this. This is, a lot of people want to react to crap. Don't react. Don't watch their videos. I know you really, really, really want to watch Laura Trump sing, or Lara, or however you say her name. Eric's wife, you know, the one who thinks she's pretty. She is, sorry. It's just, she's running the RNC. She has her hands on all the money. They haven't spent hardly any money on the campaign. Analysis came out yesterday. We'll look at this after the debates, but they're just not spending. The Republicans don't have any money. I wonder where it went. They got so much money, and they're getting it from rich people too, like Peter Thiel and that Mellon guy. And yet here they are out of money. So we have to hunker, guys. The debate is on the 10th, which is next Tuesday. So leading up to the debate, we're going to do I hate to say this, we're going to do 6 days of issues, but I'm going to try to make it delightful as much as I can. I just want to get it in your head so you know what to listen for. And then we'll talk about how the history of debates and how much they've changed, because I think that's important. For us olds, it used to mean something. A debate used to be something that was informative and helpful. Plus, we didn't have social media, so it was our chance to actually see the candidates like in real life. So we'll talk about that coming up. First, let's get through the issues, and we're going to start off with something so wonderful today: the economy, taxes, and poverty. And here's how I did it, because I thought I need to do this in a meaningful way that you won't necessarily see everywhere else. And so I decided to look at the RNC platform, so it's the Republican platform, then the mandate for leadership, which is Project 2025, no matter what they call it. It's the mandate. I love that it's a mandate. And then, of course, the DNC, the Democratic platform. All of them, links to all of them are on the blog, on my blog, on the sidebar now. I just moved them over so they'd be persistent. They're over on the sidebar, so you can grab them if you want to look at those platforms. You can also Google them. Just make sure when you Google, in particular for the one for the DNC, it needs to be the one that was ratified after the convention. So it's from August 2024. That's the most important part if you're Googling. Don't get the old Biden one, get the new Harris one. Okay. So the reason I want to do this is, one, I want to validate your commitment to your candidate. So if what you think they believe in is what they believe in, number one, you can feel good about that. What's that? Confirmation bias. Yay. But the good kind, the kind that says I made the right choice. Number two, discover what you want to learn more about. You may not have heard the position on all of these issues over the next 6 days. You might want to go learn more about something, or decide that's something you actually want to work on. Hard to know, but it could possibly be. You want to see how closely I wanted to see, and I wanted to share with you how closely the RNC platform dovetails with Project 2025. And here's what I'm saying is that it starts out as the DNC, as the RNC, the Republican platform. But the thing is, it's built to dovetail, meaning it's built to be a baton that they're handing off to the Heritage Foundation to run our government. So you need to understand that even though it may not be articulated right now out loud, although they did say it out loud for 9 months until they figured out it was really a shitty plan. I mean, until we found out it was a really shitty plan. I want you to see how closely the two are connected. And in every table, if you come into the blog, in every table, you will see the RNC, the Project 2025, and the DNC positions. You can just compare them. And these are all, everything's in writing, so you can go look at them if you want to. And the last thing is I want you to have information. I want you to be armed with information in case you get in discussion with someone who cares about a specific issue. So it's just giving you enough to talk, but it's also giving you enough to say, hey, that doesn't sound right. I'm going to go get the facts. And later in this podcast, and how I'm using it across the six pods, is that I used a great tool from US News and World Report. They have done, it's not even called that, it's called US News now. They have done voter guides, and I think they're really good. So I'm going to refer to those later, but also know that they're always there. And there is a link to them, of course, in the blog. So you can go look at these voter guides. So let's talk about the economy, jobs, and lowering costs. You're going to hear always when I present this, I'm going to, actually, that's not true. Never mind. That's not true. I was going to say we're going to start with the RNC first, but that's not necessarily true because sometimes I do start with the Democrats to make a point. The Republicans plan to let businesses do their thing. Okay, we're talking about the economy. I know this is hard when you're listening to remember these things, but let's just remember we're talking about the economy. The economy, the economy, the economy. There'll be pieces that plug in here to the economy, but I tried to chunk these in a way that each day the discussion collectively makes sense. So this is all about money, jobs, taxes, costs, that kind of thing. Economy. The Republican plan is to let businesses do their thing without too much government interference. This is huge, by the way, for the Republicans slash also Project 2025. The whole goal is to let business run the country. That's the plan. The Republicans believe the economy will grow faster by cutting taxes. Still not proven to work, especially for companies and wealthy people, and eliminate rules that slow down companies. Rules are regulations, just so you know. They want to eliminate the regulations that slow down companies. They want to eliminate unions because those slow down companies, right? Because you have to deal with all those nasty workers. They believe this will create more jobs because businesses will have more money to hire people. On the other hand, the Democrats have a different approach. They believe the government should step in to make sure everyone gets a fair shot. They want to create jobs by investing in building roads, bridges, and clean energy projects. And they also want to raise taxes on the wealthy to pay for programs to help struggling people with things like healthcare and education. So you get the big difference there. One is looking at Americans and seeing how they could help each other rise up and what the government can do to give everyone a fair shot. And then the other is that the businesses will take care of the workers. That's never, ever, ever happened, but okay. So when it comes to the economy, the RNC position is to focus on free markets and deregulation. That's the RNC. They believe reducing government interference will promote growth and encourage innovation. Well, yeah, Elon wants no government interference. The problem is the innovation he wants is to move everything to Bitcoin so he doesn't have to deal with governments at all and he can just be an entity unto himself. So there's a good example of where the innovation that's encouraged is not necessarily the innovation we want. Project 2025 says strengthen free market policies and reduce federal control. It's almost exactly the same as the RNC position, which is focused on free markets. They want to strengthen free market policies and deregulation, reduce federal control. Same exact thing. Okay, the DNC, the Democrats' position is to invest in America and the middle class, investing in infrastructure, education, innovation. They want to invest in innovation. Let me just explain the very big difference there. When a government chooses where to invest in innovation, that innovation happens, and it happens in an open, accessible way with rules and environmental impact studies and all other kinds of things. It doesn't happen over on the RNC side. Innovation can be things you don't want, like, oh, I don't know, AI. Okay. I love generative AI. I cannot stand AI that's going to start to pull together all of our data. All right, keep moving, Jen, keep moving. Okay, so that's the economy. On employment, the RNC, the Republicans want to promote job creation through tax cuts and deregulation. Sounds so familiar. Let's cut taxes. It's the same exact thing as the first one. The way they think there's going to be more jobs is by lowering taxes and reducing regulations so businesses can hire more workers. Regulations don't have anything to do with hiring more workers, by the way. Those are two separate things. Regulations are about having a clean work environment and a safe work environment and to make food that's not like boar's head that tries to kill us. So there you go. That's on employment. In fact, Project 2025 takes it a step further and it wants to encourage private sector job creation by reducing government imposed barriers. We're going to come back to regulation every time, guys, because the Republicans work for corporations, big ones. Okay, and the Democrats want to create jobs through government investment, and that's public investment in infrastructure, clean energy, and technology to create good paying jobs in our own country. I feel so strongly about these things, but I really want you to understand the difference. So the RNC is kind of the same old, right? Oh, big business. They'll protect the workers. They're looking out for everybody. They're not looking out for anybody. Oh, as a woman who's worked for big business for so many decades, I'm going to tell you, I've never been looked out for. I have to look out for myself every time. Does that sound cynical? It's not cynical. It's my optimism beat down is what that is. My optimism, my classic compulsive optimism has really hit the wall when it comes to business. That's probably one of the reasons I'm having such a hard time working again. It's just so awful. Finally, let's talk about lowering costs and inflation. The Republicans want to defeat inflation and reduce prices rapidly. That's their position. Defeat it and reduce it. Here's how they're going to do it. They're going to cut government spending. So all that money that goes into the economy, they want to cut all that out and make it easier to produce energy in the US. But he doesn't want to use wind, and he doesn't want to use solar, and he doesn't want to use hydro. He doesn't want to use any of the other ways to get energy going. He only wants to use oil. That's not going to cut it, folks. The Project 2025 wants to manage inflation through monetary policy. They want to control the money supply and reduce government programs. It's exactly the same. It's the same. Sorry, as much as Trump's trying to say it's not the same, it's the same. I know I kind of overreacted there, but it's making me extremely agitated that the media is not covering this like it should be. I know we have some of the more, I'll say, air quotes, liberal media covering this. And I know Joanne Reed's gone after this aggressively, but folks, you've got to pay attention. This Project 2025 stuff is some nefarious crap. And the RNC is all over it. The Democrats want to lower costs by regulating corporations and increasing wages. So people are going to tell me minimum wage is not intended to be a living wage. Well, I don't know what's intended to be a living wage. I don't think we've ever even decided in America people deserve a living wage. They do deserve a living wage. And I'll tell you what, and it's all over social media, but you've got to get this through your heads. If the CEOs are making millions and millions and millions of dollars, they can afford to pay their line workers more. They just can. They just can. There's only so much money people need, guys. There is a finite amount at some point. It can't be infinite. What are you going to do with infinite money? You do bad things like Elon Musk? I mean, come on. All right. Sorry. My woke socialism is showing up. And my socialism is not really that much socialism. I just believe that we should help each other. It's hard out here. And nobody asked to be born, right? It's hard, and you got to make your way. And and when people are struggling, that's when things go wrong. And I really want to live in America where things don't always go wrong. Yeah, there we go. There's my compulsive optimism. The two parties, I'm sorry. The DNC wants to help families by raising wages, reducing healthcare costs, and regulating corporate price gouging. Well, there you go. That's so straightforward. The two parties have really different ideas about inflation, which occurs in prices for things like food and gas, etc. And when they're going up, and we've already found out, I think it was Kroger that just admitted that they were price gouging during greedflation. They actually raised prices in the grocery store. So anybody who has a Republican friend who thinks prices were raised because of Joe Biden, try not to hit them and make sure they understand that the grocery, go find the fact that they've inflated prices intentionally. Republicans think the best way to keep prices down is to cut government spending. and ensure that we produce energy like oil and gas. What did I tell you? And they believe this will help lower costs for everyone. It's just this has just been the way it's been done for the last as long as I've been alive. It just doesn't help. It doesn't lower costs. Costs never go down. That's one thing we can all understand. Democrats believe the government should intervene in the project to protect people from unfair price hikes. They support raising wages. People, do you know the federal minimum wage has been at $7 and change for 2 decades? Robert Reich does stuff about this. It's unbelievable. So one of the when you're talking about raising wages, one of them would be the federal minimum wage. They want people to have money to cover rising costs and regulate big companies to prevent them from charging too much. Hello. Thank you. You can say free market, but when the free market is under a monopoly, it's not a free market. That's the issue with utilities and other things. If you're in Texas and you have power needs, they they base it on surge pricing. So if everybody has power needs at the same time, you all pay more. That's not fair. That's not how it should work. Anyway, okay, and the rich can always afford to keep paying. That's what I always laugh about the watering grass in Beverly Hills. Nobody should be watering grass in Beverly Hills. California just doesn't have water like that. And yet the way water works is they can use all they want. All they got to do is pay for it. They jack up the price. They don't care. It doesn't bother them. They just pay more. It doesn't matter. It's infinite. I don't even think they own the checkbooks. The checkbooks belong to their accountants. I always get mad when I'm down in Beverly Hills and see all that green, wet grass. Like the sprinklers just run during the day when it's hot. It's aggravating. These are going to be longer than I thought if Jen doesn't shut up. Poverty and taxes. Republicans believe cutting taxes, especially for the rich, and reducing government programs will benefit anyone because businesses will spend more and create more jobs. They think this will help reduce poverty. Democrats see things differently. They think the government should help close the gap between rich and poor by increasing taxes on the wealthy and using that money to help people who are struggling. Yep, you could probably say that's socialism, but what they're not going to just hand it to the people. They're going to develop programs. So it's not just handing it, it's a program, and programs are good if they're measured and if there are results required and if there are this feedback loop, all the things you want in an open, happy, healthy system. So on taxes, the RNC position is to lower taxes for individuals and businesses. They're going to do it for tax cuts for economic growth and want individuals to keep more income. Literally, my friend said that. I want to keep more of my income. If you go look, if Trump gets in office financially, you will not be keeping more of your income. The only way you keep more of your income is if you're in the 0.1%. So I don't know anybody in the 0.1%. I don't. Taylor Swift, if you'd like to be friends, I'm game. I don't know anybody in the 0.1%. Not even from being in the Valley. I just don't know anybody at that level. I know some VCs who think they are. The Project 2025 position is to simplify the tax code and reduce taxes. It's the same thing. They want tax reforms that will lower rates and simplify the tax code at the highest levels, folks, to encourage economic activity and investment. And when they're talking about tax reforms, they're talking about capital gains taxes. They're talking about, here's a good one, that no taxes on tips things that Trump's promoting. He is included in tips, and his plan are the bonuses that the hedge fund managers get. Jen's favorite hot topic, hedge fund managers. Anyway, those bonuses that those financial people get, he wants to call those tips, and then there's no taxes on them. See how we simplify the tax code just like that? The DNC wants to make the wealthy and the corporations pay their fair share. They want to increase those taxes to fund public services. So on poverty, the way the RNC sees poverty is they're going to reduce poverty through economic growth by reducing regulations and promoting job creation. That will lift people out of poverty. Project 2025 says self-sufficiency and reduces dependency on the government. So they're gonna remove the programs that require people need, that depend on the government for help. They want to remove those programs. The best way to help the poor people is to actually cut them off and rely on self-sufficiency. You can help the corporations by cutting their taxes and freeing up more of their available capital, but you don't want to really push that down to the poor. The DNC, on the other hand, wants to fight poverty with safety nets and investments. So they want social programs, increasing the minimum wage, and investing in education and healthcare. Guys, if you go pull out that Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that's the right focus. You cannot just look at the people at the bottom of the pyramid and tell them to work harder. It's like the abyss story I said. When you're at the bottom of the abyss, you're at the very bottom. It is the darkest. You only have a limited view of the sky. You have no idea what's up there at the top. You just know what you can see straight over your head. As you climb out of the abyss, you have more choices and more information. But if you can't get out of the abyss, you're really stuck. There's no bootstrapping. There's no self-sufficiency. That's gaslighting. Go look at my coaching podcast if you want to know about gaslighting. Two candidates offer voters a choice. So when you compare the two parties, the differences are super straightforward. Republicans focus on cutting taxes, reducing the government, and letting businesses lead. If you know nothing else from this podcast, know that cut taxes, reduce, not for us, by the way, cutting taxes for the rich, reducing government involvement, that's regulations and programs, etc., and letting the businesses lead, which I have not even seen them do as Donald Trump drives this country into the ground. Mark Cuban's leading. Mark Cuban's leading like a beast, but I'm not seeing a lot of other businesses. The former head of American Express came to the DNC. That was great. But there's an opportunity for businesses here to really lead, and they need to step up. And the fact that the Republicans are counting on them as leading tells me they mean the word lead in a different set. Let businesses go is what they want to say. Focus on cutting taxes for the rich, reduce government involvement that are protecting people, and let businesses do whatever they want to do. Democrats, on the other hand, want to use the government to help people, make things more fair, and ensure everyone can get ahead. Both approaches reflect profound beliefs about how the economy should work and what role the government should play. So, all right, that's all that. That's Jen Carroll. I went through and I looked at the U.S. News breakdowns, and just really quickly, here's a little synopsis of those guides, and you can go in and look at them. And these are the guides that had to do with economy, obviously. So Kamala is emphasizing economic equality and lifting families out of poverty. She said raising the minimum wage and expanding tax credits for low-income families are essential steps toward building a more fair economy. I want you to take that in. She's trying to build a fair economy. That's interesting. That interests me a great deal. I'm not even sure I know what a fair economy is, but that's interesting. That was at a campaign stop in Atlanta on August 30th. Harris supports a progressive tax system in which higher earners contribute a larger share of their income to fund public services and infrastructure. So progressive tax, meaning the more you earn, the more you pay, right? Definitely happened in my career. It's finally when I started getting the big jobs, I definitely paid more taxes. But it was like, of course I did. I earned more. Okay, good. She plans to okay, good, Jen, settle down. She plans to combat inflation by regulating prescription drug prices, increasing affordable housing, and she believes these lower costs will help everyday Americans. Donald Trump wants to champions tax cuts and deregulation as the key to growth, but we need to make, he says we need to make the 2017 tax cuts permanent and further reduce corporate taxes to ensure Americans remain competitive on the global stage. You guys, once again, it's about supporting business. He said that in Ohio on August 29th. He argues that letting businesses run amok will stimulate job creation and benefit all Americans. There's so much job creation going on over at Cisco right now. They're laying off tons of people on September 15th. Yeah, these businesses, they got it going on. You know what I heard? This is purely gossip. I heard that they're trying to get rid of the people that are making higher wages, is what I heard. So we'll see if they lay off a bunch of people over 40 or over 50 and hire a bunch of 30-year-olds. I just don't understand why businesses want to do that, but whatever. Okay, Trump opposes increases in the minimum wage, warning that such actions would lead to job losses and harm small businesses. To address inflation, Trump plans to reduce government spending and rolls back regulations he claims raise prices and stifle innovation. Sorry, still going back to the small businesses and increased minimum wage. Some of the small business stories are really good around that, and some of the small business stories are really bad. And I have to believe it has to do with intention and mindset, Because if you're a pro-Trump person and you see your workers needing to get an increase in their wages, you might be angry because you're believing what Trump says. But if you're not a Trump supporter and you've increased your employees' wages and they're staying and they're happy and it's working and you figured it out, you have success stories. So I really do believe the intention you bring to this situation and how you choose to handle it is how it'll go for you. So wrapping up, these two different approaches to economic strategies really underscore the broader ideological divide between Harris and Trump. Harris is really focused on equity and support of vulnerable populations. Listen to that. She's focusing on equity, meaning you can get what you deserve based on your terms, and support for vulnerable populations, while Trump emphasizes economic growth and a minor government role in the economy. You get to decide which path will meet the nation's needs most. You get to decide by voting. Thank you for listening today. We'll be back tomorrow to dig into more of my ramblings and opinions on all these policies. It just makes me struggle. I'm so upset about Project 2025. It's so bad for us guys. But I think understanding the issues will really help us know how to navigate as we start really aggressively campaigning now, because we are officially in campaign season as of today, Tuesday, September 3rd. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to today's podcast. Make sure you subscribe and rate, and I'll be back with another episode really soon.